So, Rebecca, you wanted to talk about Prince Harry, don't you?
Yeah, there's been a revolution in talking about mental health this week. It's pretty exciting.
And since we talked about the TV show The Crown, the first season, and we both love that show, you thought you might present in light of some of the things we talked about in that episode, in which I did a deep dive on the history of the royal family and all the attachment disruptions that have happened over the years, and how it's a wonder these people aren't more problematic than they are, but they do have problematic things. Anyway, this is the Psychology in Seattle podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. Who are you, Rebecca?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Bloom. I'm a licensed mental health counselor in Seattle, Washington, with a private practice in South Seattle.
So tell us the story, because I only read one headline, so I don't really know this story very well.
Well, it's pretty amazing considering all that we talked about in the Crown episodes about the history of the royal family and all of the traumas that they've experienced. So Prince Harry and his brother and his brother's wife have come out in kind of this Talk 1-to-1 series, where it's this really beautiful film series of two people talking about when one of the two people decided that they couldn't ignore their mental health any longer, and then it was time for them to seek help. All of this is coming out of the fact that Prince Harry has disclosed that he didn't talk about the death of his mother for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, which I'm sure is what we talked about, the socialization last time, which is they're in this role of being royal. It has all these responsibilities. There's not a ton of thought about attachment to parents because you're constantly being separated from your parent. And so he talks about pretty much almost having a mental breakdown at 32, and his brother saying, you don't have to live like this. You should go talk to a therapist. And so he did.
And now he's coming out and speaking about it in an attempt to raise awareness for the need of counseling and for people not to wait 20 years to seek counseling. Is that right?
Yeah. And he also identifies a lot of, these people's lives are so public. So I remember all of his crazy behavior as a youth. He's saying, I was masking my pain and I didn't have any other skills but to drink and to party. And so that's what I did. Right. So they're also talking about he himself is a veteran of, I think it's the Afghan. I don't know. Anyways, he's a veteran, and his family does a lot of work with homelessness and all kinds of stuff. And they were saying that the thread they see through all of this is mental health issues. And so I thought that ability to connect the dots and say, it is, stress is one of the number one factors of dis-ease in our world. And if you don't have anyone to talk to about it, you're going to not feel good about yourself.
Right. Yeah. So just to recap again, that I'll recap the recap that I was saying earlier, which is that I went back in as far as I could. And I took a couple of days really looking into the history of, and it's hard to find the history of the personal life and the parenting styles of the royal family. But I did find some stuff going back to, I think, the 1600s, and the line of parents who mistreat or neglect their children, and then the children grow up with attachment injuries, and then correspondingly will either abuse, neglect, abandon their own kids, and have affairs, by the way, because they have a hard time attaching to their spouses, which leads to more chaos and more pain. And it just keeps going through the generation. Princess Di was not in the royal family, but she was she had a similar attachment issue from her own family. And
she had an eating disorder, which is usually impacts people who are addressing secrets and trying to mask their true pain. So
right. So you, as Prince Harry, and who's the other one? Prince William. grow up in this household that has this transgenerational pattern of attachment issues, they themselves are going to have attachment injuries themselves. The nature of being in the royal family, as depicted in the TV show The Crown, is such that your duty pulls you away from your parenting responsibilities. And the children are often raised by nannies, which is something's better than nothing. So the nannies are probably, or they call them governesses or whatever, don't they, in England, but they're helpful, but they're not, they don't really replace fully the attachment needs from the parent. And nannies sometimes quit or move on or something, and so that can be very damaging to people's attachments. And then when Princess Di tragically passed away, very suddenly and tragically, and God knows if those kids saw the pictures or
sure, it was everywhere,
heard the reports, or it was extremely gory and graphic, and it almost, to me, felt like, even though it's debatable, it felt like the paparazzi killed her and then proceeded to ghoulishly take pictures of her dying body. It was, imagine being, that's your mom. Imagine that's your mother, and then
the whole world. I mean, I remember my grandmother calling me to tell me that Princess Di was dead. This was a national, international warning. But if you're the kid and you've got to hold it together, it's a nightmare.
And you have attachment problems, and your world is particularly repressive regarding emotions. That's the culture of Northwestern white Europe, and it's also particularly the culture of aristocratic Europe. And that is going to make your grief become difficult, and you're going to stuff it, and you're going to look, and it's going to feel bad, and you're going to look for ways of soothing that. You're going to look for ways of calming your nerves by either acting out or drinking or acting like life doesn't matter, maybe even trying to put yourself in harm's way by going to war. And over time, that will take its toll, and then hopefully one day you realize, like he did, that, or he had, it sounds like he had someone that might have helped him understand. Who gave it? Was his brother?
It's his brother. Yeah.
How did his brother realize this?
I mean, it sounds like, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this. You're getting calls from someone all the time saying, I can't go on like this. I'm falling apart. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who I am. It's too much. Life is too much. And, you get really scared about what's happening to the person that you love.
Yeah.
And you know that life doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us want to watch the people that we care about suffer. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like he was really suffering.
Well, I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a sign that the stigma of seeking counseling is on its way out. It's still alive and strong, even in liberal Seattle, but it's just a matter of time, hopefully, that it goes away. So, and Prince Harry's coming out is helpful in that effort. Do you like the royal family currently? I mean, we all like the TV show The Crown, but do you like the actual real life?
I mean, I think what they're up to is super cool. So there's another part of the series where Prince Harry kind of has like this mental health barbecue, and I didn't recognize any of these people, but it's all of these famous English sports heroes talking about their mental health crises. I had an injury and my career ended early. I, couldn't make it to the Olympics. This or that happened, and I had this mental health crisis. And I was like, oh my God, what am I watching? This is really amazing. to hear people just discussing their struggles in a really kind of open, casual way. There's nothing overwhelming here, nothing strange about us being really open that life is hard.
When my mother held the hand of a man dying of AIDS.
So if people are looking for a series, there's a bunch of videos to watch. It's called 1 to 1. And then there's also this 1 in 4 hashtag. Have you seen that? So the concept is 1 in 4 people will have a mental health crisis in their lifetime. And so all these people are kind of hashtagging 1 in 4. And I thought that was pretty impressive to normalize it in that way. Like, hey, this might happen to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're weak.
I just started Googling this, and a video just started playing, and the audio I could hear. I'm guessing you couldn't hear the audio. But if the listeners heard a random audio of some random voice just come over the podcast, you're not going crazy. It was me playing a video. But yeah, I'm looking at all these images of Prince Harry and a bunch of other people in aprons cooking and they're laughing, and they look so royal because they look like they're on some fancy field at a fancy house in a fancy backyard, and they're wearing let's see, what is this? Something together. Hashtag heads together.
Oh, heads together. Yeah, that's another one of the.
Yeah, so that's Prince Harry's cause, which is really great. I think that's pretty cool, and he seems like he's taking it in stride. He's not shying away, and he doesn't seem to be shy about it. He's smiling away. Let's talk about this, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, especially all that time we spent looking at that family system of, you have a job to do, buck up and do that job. Like, this is a huge shift in that family system for someone to say, my job is to be honest about my struggles. That's a big change. Yeah,
and this is a side note, but I have heard rumors that Prince Harry isn't Prince Charles's child. Have you heard this?
I haven't heard. No, whose child is he?
Well, so it's confirmed by all those involved, I think, that Princess Di, after breaking up with Prince Charles, had a boyfriend, a partner. I can't remember. I don't know his name, but he was a redhead, by the way. And there was speculation that maybe Diana was having an affair with this guy prior to the official breakup of Di and Charles. And when you look at pictures of the adult Harry next to the adult pictures of this other man, it is striking how similar these two guys look. So it's possible, and again, tabloid stuff, but it's possible that Harry might even have some more issues around the shame involved in that, potentially, and the confusion and the ostracization or whatever's happening for him in that way.
Who's your daddy? It's always a big question.
Yeah, they should go on Jerry Springer and bring on Prince Charles, and they'd have that reveal with the DNA.
Oh God!
And then people would start throwing chairs, and Jerry Springer would have to call in his goons. The Brits, they're just always so.
They love that stuff.
They're so obnoxious. All right. Anything else you want to say about Prince Harry and his advocacy and his own personal struggles? Anything you want to say about that?
So there's a particular video that's him and Lady Gaga. I think actually Lady Gaga is talking to Prince William about her struggles with post-traumatic stress. And, the more the merrier. I think it's so important, and it's really affirming that people are being so much more, or just being really honest about their experience.
Yeah, super. I'm super behind it. All right. Well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Thanks for joining us out there. Please take care of yourself and don't be bogged down by stigma, because struggle and emotional issues are universal. And I mean, the 1 in 4 thing is perhaps DSM diagnoses, but that doesn't include all the other human suffering emotionally that people will go through.
Right. I just know that regular grief and loss isn't actually a
DSM.
you can't bill for it. So that's not like anybody who's grieving a loss. If they don't have traditional depression symptoms, that doesn't even count. All of the people who are just grieving for a short amount of time, and it's a truly impactful process. You're even writing a whole book on it.
I am. I'm writing a whole long, stupid book about grief that's taking me too long to finish. All right. Well, that does it for that episode. Thanks for joining us. Please take care of yourself. Why should people take care of themselves, Rebecca?
I think that they're pretty neat.
And
people out there of the internet. And I think they should take care of themselves and stay neat. How's that?
Okay, that's good. I love it.